Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Developer Dynasty here at Wolverine Studios on our Twitch channel. Tonight we are doing the Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2021 Developer Dynasty. I hope everybody had a good Christmas and a nice break, and we're back here to pick up our Developer Dynasty streams this week for both college basketball and college football. And also tomorrow night, right here on our Twitch channel at 7:30, will be the debut of the WSBA stream. That is the Wolverine Studios Basketball Association. We are running a Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021 League. We're going to run it right here on Twitch every week. We've got some great owners signed up, and there's still some teams available. But we're trying to be very selective in how we're filling the league, because we're looking for people who will come to the streams and who will participate in things on social media. So that's going to be something really fun to check out starting tomorrow night. I posted the link there in the chat area so that you can check out the site for yourself. As always, before we start, a huge thank you to all of our followers. Our follower list continues to grow, and especially to our subscribers who are helping to support the channel, whether they're subscribing on their own or using that free Amazon Prime linked to their Twitch Prime account. If you do that, if you link those accounts, you get one free sub every month, and we appreciate those who use that sub with us and continue to renew it month after month. So let's get into business for this week. We are taking a look at the brand new dashboard screen here for college basketball 2021 with the player cards on here. We talked about this briefly in our last stream. All of these things have the icons to show you who is on scholarship, what their current attitude level is, if they're a walk-on. The last one to be highlighted if they're a redshirt. So all of this information here at a glance for you, as well as your charts here for your player impact estimate, the next opponent, the win chance, and your matchup stats against your next opponent. Team news is over here, and your scoring, passing, and rebounding leaders at the bottom of the screen too. So that's a brand new look at this dashboard screen for this year. But we've got a lot of other new things to get to, so I'm going to move on. And if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, anything you want to talk about, feel free to throw those in the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can. So the first thing, I do want to confirm that people had asked, will they be able to import their associations from 2020? You will be able to import. There's an option that'll be on the main menu that you'll click. You'll go through your files in the computer to find the 2020 league file, and you can convert it and bring it into 2021. So if you've got 2020 associations going now, don't worry, you'll be able to bring them in. The best time to do it is right after that season ends. So we're still a ways away from first access release, so there's no reason to hurry up and finish your season now. But once 2021 is available, you will be able to bring your seasons right in that you're playing right now. So no worries about losing seasons or anything like that. If I know people have emailed me and said they've got like a really long-term season going, and they don't want to start over, which I totally understand. That's the point of the game. So you will be able to bring those over with you. One of the new improvements here this year is a team schedule option. Last year it was just kind of stuffed on the dashboard, and this year we've given it its own screen here, which will show you all of your games, the results, your running total for wins and losses, and your high players for each game, for points, assists, and rebounds. Everything is clickable. Of course, you can click on this guy and see his ratings, and of course here's the new player card that we talked about last time as well. If you're familiar with Pro Basketball 21, this will be a very welcome sight to you. Box scores, clickable. You can go to the teams, your opponents. That's all clickable. So everything on the screen here, this is a new way of looking at it, and it's, I think, really a big improvement as compared to how we had it last year. Question from PMC Cown 513: can you statistically add teams, or will you still be stuck with the number of teams the league started with. That is, we're going to have to add teams to your league, I think, when you bring it in. I haven't added the team side yet. I haven't added the additional teams in 2021 yet, but that's why it's going to have to. You're only going to be able to import you're only going to be able to import at a certain point from the college, from when your league's in college 2020, because it's going to have to create the new teams and stuff in the system. And then you're going to, if you had like a modded file or something, you're going to have to then come in here to like the school info page for those teams that get added and add the change the information for those schools, because they'll have the default names. So the team requirement will remain the same for the 2020 leagues. Will have to move to the size of the association in 2021, and you'll just have to do a little bit of editing once you get in here to do it. But everything else, all 353 teams, I think it is, in 2020, that should all port over just fine, and then you'll just have to edit the last couple teams that get added. So hopefully that answers that. Let's take a look at the insight screen, because there's new information here that I want to go over, and there's more coming to this screen. This is a screen that I really want to add as much detail to as possible. Obviously, on the left side here, you see all of your own teams' rankings for where you rank in all of these different stats, and then you can see who is the best school in each stat on this side. On the lineup tracking screen, this is something I always encourage people to use to see which of your lineups are statistically the best and worst. And it's something where if you look just at the results of the game, you might not understand why your team is not winning games. But if you look at this team is 10-13, and the lineup that plays overwhelmingly the most amount of minutes is a negative producing lineup overall. You can see that they have a very low offensive rating, and their net is negative 14.8. You see these other important factors here showing you how your lineup does offensively and defensively, and helps you to understand as you look through here. Maybe you can identify a player who frequently is in the negative lineups, and he may be your weak link in that lineup. So it's this screen is very helpful for identifying things that you can't just pick up from looking at the box score or something like that. And GM Games Chris in the chat, good to see you as always, Chris. They do great work over at GM Games. So sorry I was heads down on something and this slipped my line. Well, I'm glad that you ended up here in the stream. Let's look at, this is a new ad here, what is called 4 factors, and this is a team versus team look. So this looks at every team that is in the game here, and it will show you their offensive effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and the free throw rate. If you don't know what 4 factors are, you might want to Google that. It's been a kind of one of those Moneyball stats in basketball for a while. Shows them both offensively and defensively here, and it shows the entire in the entire association here. So you can take a look at not just your team, but or just even your conference, but everything that that's going on here in the league, and see why the top teams are the most successful teams. So if you look at the turnover percentage, and you look at teams that have such a high turnover percentage here, you can see the win totals are not very good for most of those teams. While conversely, if you take a look at the lowest teams for committing turnovers, you've got 23 game win teams here, teams winning 88%. All these teams are winning games. So obviously Northern Illinois, a little bit of a outlier there with a a less than 500 record, even though they do a good job of taking care of the ball. But obviously, wins typically correlate with turnovers. So this screen, I think, is very, very useful in terms of evaluating where your team is against the entire league as a whole. And in all this talk about lineups and things like that, I want to go over to the depth screen again to show everybody just a quick update that was made here. Now you'll notice at the bottom all these green check marks that let you know that all of your columns here are full. They've got all the time allocated. I had a bug from somebody earlier this week who didn't have all the matrix filled in, and so it's preventing their game from moving along. And I guess in the past it really wasn't easy to tell that just at a glance. Now you can see all these check marks to tell you that you're good to go, or it'll be a red X if somebody's missing. Also, now when you choose the position to assign, it will light up in the corresponding color down here so that you know which one you've clicked. This one, I gotta update the header there with a little extra length. So let's take a look at some improvements coming to the sim screen. So a couple of big changes here for everybody who is familiar with 2020. Right here at the top now, we've added your upcoming games so that you know which dates that you have games coming up on. I can tell here I've got games coming up on the 15th, the 18th, and the 22nd. So if I want to sim to a particular date, or if I want to sim to my next game, I know which date I'm going to sim to. Also in the past, the sim to date option was a little bit confusing because what you had to do was actually move forward here on the schedule to whatever date you wanted to sim to, select that date, and then go over here and choose the sim to date option. Whereas everything else, it was all laid out for you already. So it kind of worked a little bit backwards. So what we've done instead here is if I want to sim to the 22nd, let's say, now I'm going to just go to sim to date, and I'm going to choose the date right here from a drop down that will let me sim to that day. It will tell me how many days it is to sim to that day. It will also give me a couple of days where it tells me the conference play ends and the conference tournament ends, so I know exactly how far I'm simming along. So if I just want to sim to the 22nd, I would just choose that and then choose date, and it'll have me all ready to go on the sim screen. So I think that's an important improvement from the prior year. I just think it's less confusing that way. Another improvement is to the actual simming itself. So I'm going to play a couple games here, and you'll notice down here now, after your game is over, you're going to get this pop-up in the lower right corner that tells you whether you won or lost that game, updates you on your record. It will tell you who your high points, rebounds, and assist players were for that game as well. So as you kind of sim through here, on the faster sim, especially doing a long-term sim or something like that, it gives you a better way of keeping track of what's going on with your team in particular. It's in the past we didn't have that. We had a little thing that updated your record, but I like this a lot better. It was very useful in the pro game, and I think all in all, it's really going to be a nice improvement to see your team information pop up in that lower right corner, just to kind of really emphasize that your team played a game and let you know how the outcome of that game went for you. I see Hustlin' Owl in the chat. Good to see you here, Hustlin' Owl. And of course, if you guys have any questions, you want to talk about anything specific that maybe I haven't covered or don't plan to cover, by all means, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions as well. There is a ton. I think I mentioned it last time on the stream. The list that came to me had something like 220 suggestions or something that that Point Guard compiled for me. So that's a lot of information, a lot of new tweaks and suggestions and stats and things like that that people are looking forward to. So there is a lot that I'm planning on adding and tweaking and all that kind of stuff to this year's game. So if you have any questions at all, nothing is off limits for what we're going to talk about here. Another addition to this the sim screen here is going to be this little file icon here. We've added a game preview, and this was added to Pro Basketball 2021 as well, and I've ported it over here. So if you click on this game preview here, it's going to pop it up, and it's going to give you the team leaders for each team and points, assists, and rebounds. It's going to give you an injury report for the game. It's going to give you the team head-to-head stats for all of the important stats. It's going to give you their streak, their last 10, and at the top it will give you a favorite, and an over/under. Of course, in these we're just using some basic mathematical formulas to just to give you something fun to look at here. But it's I think it's a really fun addition this year to the game to have this game preview, so that I think it's fun. I think it's anything like this that we can add that gives a little bit more detail to the game and stuff like that, makes it a little bit more to a little bit more in depth for you. I think that's a huge win for anything like that we can add. So any suggestions you have on those things, always taking suggestions along those lines to to plus the game, as we say, give it a little bit extra, some more detail, stuff like that. Chris asked if I've been parsing that point guard list or if that's to come. Oh, Wayne, hey, good to see you, Wayne. I didn't see you earlier in the chat. The point guard did a great job of putting that list together in order for me, so everything is kind of organized by different sections of things. So huge thanks, as always, to Point Guard for all the help he gives me in getting this thing ready. I am going to go back to the main menu here and pull up a different league to show you some other stuff we've been working on. All right, so one of the most requested things from last year was some method of continuing I talked about people who are running these really, really long-term leagues, some way of continuing on with a different coach. So I've been able to do that this year. When you get to the job hiring date and you advance to it, you're going to see a message up here now telling you that if you're in a solo player association, you can click the briefcase icon above to go to your office screen and retire your current coach and start with a new coach. This option is only available on this particular day because it's the day that you can search for a job as yourself. So this is the only day in the game that this will be available. But you'll just go to your office screen here, and down here in the bottom right hand corner there's going to be this red button that says retire coach. So if you do that, it's going to ask you for a name for your new coach, and it's going to create just going to give you some random attributes and stuff like that. So what you're going to do here is you're going to create the coach, and then all of us, then it will kick you right to your new coach here, because the other one has been retired at this point. And then all you need to do is go to the commissioner office, and then you go to edit add coaches, and then you'll be able to find your coach here, and you'll be able to change anything you want. You can change the photo, you can change the clothes, the name, the age, all of your attributes here, your ratings, your potential, everything you'll be able to set up here the way you want it. And then once you're done with that, you just log back in as your new player, and you go to the job hiring screen, and you look for a job that would be available to you at this point. So based on your ratings, whatever amount of jobs will come up, and then you'll just proceed as normal. So this will give you the opportunity for everybody who wants it to, kind of play with one coach for as long as you want, and then you can retire him, and you'll be able to create a new one, and then you'll be able to move on with that coach in your career. So that way, if you play like 50 seasons or something, your player in the game doesn't have to be 80, 90 years old still as the head coach. You can retire him and create a brand new guy, and see how you can do moving on with him. And your retired coach, he will all of his data will remain. The coaching tree will remain. All of his historical information will remain when you look at the coaching almanac and stuff like that. So that will all stay in the game. You'll just get to keep going with a new player, basically. So I think that was a good suggestion. We had it was a number of people who made that suggestion, and I really like it. I think that was a good improvement for this year's game. I think that'll really extend the longevity of the game as well. Chris asks, would love for a little bit of calling the 80 to pitch which conference a small school might try to pursue. In his sim, Long Beach State went to the WCC, but would be interesting to pursue Pac-12. When you do have conference movement turned on, the game just kind of does its best based on where you're going to end up anyways. So it's not like you'd be able to pitch the Pac-12 and get rejected and then get put in the WCC. Of course, for anybody who's not familiar with the game, all of that stuff is modded in. There's a community mod that puts the real conferences and teams in, but it's going to put you in the conference that it belongs in based on the prestige that you've achieved. So it's a cool idea, Chris, but I think that it's in the end it really isn't going to change anything, because it's not going to let you go to a conference that wouldn't normally take that school. So I think it would just be an extra step for not much reason. Bree says, is it possible to add a game similar to the McDonald's All-American High School game? It's possible, or Bree's even possibly just add stats. Just let you know some of the top recruits played in this game and what their stats were, or something like that. And then Wayne says that you can manually swap teams in the conference. So that is true if you do it on May 1st in the game from the commissioner's office. There is that option. Yep, up here, conference management options allows you to swap teams between conferences. So if you don't like how it swapped, but you could swap it on your own that way. And we are just about going to wrap up. I'm going to show you the last thing I'm working on real quick, though. The staff hiring has been a little bit of a pain point, I think, for some people over time. So we're trying to do something to kind of make it a little bit more transparent as to what's going on. The first thing is I've added this job report button. I've fired a coach just so something would show up here because I've simmed a few days already. But this will list all of the teams who have job openings. So, if I have a first assistant coach opening here, and I know that 12 other teams have a first assistant coach opening, I know there's going to be competition maybe for some of the top guys that I'm after. So I think seeing that might help you bid maybe more accordingly. And when you're looking at the demands here, the demand range is giving you a range of what they're looking for, from based on the job. So if I'm trying to hire this guy for a first assistant, he's not going to take $17,000 to be a top assistant. That's more of the range if he would be taking a third assistant job. So the other thing I'm working on adding here is trying to give you some feedback as to why the guy doesn't accept the offer. So I'm going to lowball him, and he's not going to take this, I would doubt. But what in the past, it just kind of sits there and lets you just kind of go on about over and over again, without really understanding why. So now you're going to get an email if he rejects the offer, and he says that he's not interested in the job at my school. So that means that either he doesn't want that level of job, or he just doesn't think your school is prestigious enough. He'd rather sit out and wait for another school next year to come in that would have a more prestigious offer for him. So those are two changes. There's a couple other things I'm working on I haven't gotten to yet on the assistant coach side, but working on making this side of it feel a little bit less like guesswork and a little bit feel like you have a little bit more control of it. Last thing I want to mention tonight, I haven't gotten too much into changes on recruiting as a whole, but we have made changes to the recruit distribution, and it's something that I talked about on the first stream, that we had somebody who spent a lot of time with the game and sent me some very good data last year, so that we have more recruits coming from where they come from in real life. It's decent. In the 2020 version, it's not like there's 100 recruits coming out of Alaska or something like that. But this has actual most updated data, so that you're going to get the top recruits, the biggest pile of recruits coming out of, Texas, California, some other places like that, based on where the actual, recruits are coming from in terms of 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, 3-star recruits, stuff like that. So based on where they're coming from, we're going to have that data really modeled into the game now. So it's going to give you an even more realistic feeling for the teams that you're coaching in those states. You'll see a different amount of players available as you did in the past. EasyCar25 asks, can coaches show interest in your school? Yeah, that's something that that maybe I could do. I think maybe in the past I've kind of taken for granted that, assuming, it's easy to find kind of a reasonable range of coaches that would be interested in your school, but maybe it's something I need to actually make more explicit, so that you're not just kind of having to make tons and tons of offers. I don't want it to be easy where you can just pick one, click, and get the guy. I want you to actually have to search and make offers and stuff like that. But maybe a little interest meter or something like that would be very helpful. So that's going to do it for tonight. We've hit this half-hour mark very quickly. Hey, good to see you, LB. Welcome to the chat right here at the end. I think I'm very excited about these features that are really just taking the game to another level, just getting deeper and deeper into the things that really make the game great. And I think that you're going to be very, very happy with all of the improvements we're going to have. I will never be able to list all of them because, like I said, I'm not listing 230 some improvements or something from this list of things that that was suggested to me. But we're going to take a good deal of them and put them in there. So you're going to get a lot of improvements in this year's game. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the stream tonight, especially our new followers and new subscribers. And don't forget, tomorrow night right here, 7:30 in our Twitch channel, the inaugural stream for the inaugural season of the WSBA. If you want to find out more about our Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021 League, go to draftdaysports.com/WSBA. If you go to draftdaysports.com, you'll be able to also read the league news, the blog reports, things that are going on. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be a really cool league, I think. And we still have openings, so there's the chance to apply for some of the teams that are still available. So we hope to see you tomorrow night here for that sim. I think it's going to be a good time. We'll be back Friday night as well for the Draft Day Sports College Football Developer Dynasty. So thanks everybody, and hope to see you tomorrow.